The storm's brewing in Washington? Ready for the earthquake that's about to shake the NFC East? First up, a seasoned pro is set to shake up the depth chart, while a star-studded prospect might be on their last chance. Second, Adam Peters is negotiating for a 26-year-old pass rusher gifted by the Colts. Is this the last ticket to fortify the defense? And third, an emergency steal. A monster with 25 sacks is lurking in Philly's basement. We might snag them today. What will Peters do? This isn't a rebuild. It's a revolution. Want to see how this game of 4D chess unfolds? Stay till the end. Turn on notifications, leave your like, and shout out with us. Hail to the Commanders! After years of seeing this organization struggle to find depth in the receiver corps, we finally have a general manager who doesn't rest when an opportunity arises. Kendrick Bourne's release by the Patriots has Adam Peters on the hunt. And here's what I'll say. This move speaks volumes about Luke McCaffrey's future. Kendrick Bourne isn't just any receiver. We're talking about a 29-year-old veteran who's tallied over 2,400 receiving yards in his NFL career, with over 800-yard seasons in both San Francisco and New England. Why does this prospect excite me so much? Because Bourne is exactly the kind of receiver this offense needs: reliable, versatile, and experienced in successful offensive systems. During his years with the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan, Bourne showcased an impressive ability to find space in the zone, especially in third-down situations. His 49 catches for 667 yards and 2 touchdowns during his best San Francisco season speak for themselves. Off the stat sheet, his football intelligence and knack for executing complex routes at just the right moment shine through. The Patriots signed him for these very qualities. And during his time in New England, he continued to demonstrate the kind of consistency teams value. We're not saying he will revolutionize the offense, but he could certainly be that reliable third or fourth option you need when games get toughed out at him. Peters knows Bourne firsthand from his days as the college scouting director in San Francisco. That prior relationship is key here. Peters saw Bourne's journey from undrafted free agent to a valuable playoff offense piece. This familiarity means Peters knows exactly what he's getting: a professional who will never be the team's star, but won't falter when needed most. But here's what worries me regarding McCaffrey. The Commanders only brought 5 receivers to the initial roster: McLaurin, Samuel, Brown, Lane, and McCaffrey. Do you think that was a coincidence? I think not. Peters knew exactly what he was doing. He kept that 6th spot open because he was already planning on making a move in the free agent market. Luke McCaffrey came to Washington with high expectations. As the younger brother of Christian McCaffrey and pick number 100 in last year's draft, many fans hoped he'd be that hidden gem found in the later rounds. During this year's training, McCaffrey showed flashes of that potential. He has the physical tools, speed to separate, decent hands, and the football smarts from growing up in an NFL family. The issue is that flashes won't cut it in an organization now in win-now mode. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters didn't come here to develop long-term projects. They came to take this team to the playoffs immediately, and that means every roster spot must be taken by someone ready to contribute from day one. With Terry McLaurin as our undeniable WR1, Deebo Samuel Sr. as a versatile weapon capable of favorable matchups from various positions, and Noah Brown as that reliable receiver familiar with Quinn's system from Dallas, competition for the remaining spots is fierce. Jalen Lane, picked in the 4th round this year, has transitioned smoothly during training. Coaches are impressed with his quick adaptation to the playbook and precise route execution from the slot. If Bourne signs with Washington, McCaffrey will face potentially becoming the 6th option on the depth chart. Ideally, that means special teams and specific packages. In the NFL reality, it means your future with the organization is in constant jeopardy. The numbers don't lie here. McCaffrey had 11 receptions for 107 yards in his rookie season. Those aren't numbers that secure your roster spot, especially when the team is actively seeking improvements at your position. Remember what happened to other late-round receiver projects that didn't establish themselves quickly. The league is filled with fourth and fifth round picks who never found their place. The reality is that Peters is sending a clear message. It doesn't matter where you were selected or your last name. All that counts is production. If you can't consistently produce, the organization will find someone who can. Bourne is exactly that, proven production. He's played in successful offenses, been in playoff situations, and knows what it means to be a reliable option for his quarterback. For Jaden Daniels, especially in his rookie year, having dependable receivers is crucial for his development. Here's what McCaffrey needs to understand. Opportunities will be limited, but when they arise, he must maximize each one. Drops are unacceptable, poorly executed routes are off the table, and mental mistakes are forbidden. Special teams may give him playtime, but is that enough to warrant a long-term roster spot? I say nitrogen monoxide. If you thought Peters was done strengthening the defense after all-season acquisitions, think again. Bleacher Report just suggested something incredibly sensible. Trade for Kwity Paye from the Indianapolis Colts. We're talking about a former first-round pick, number 21 of the draft in 2021, who's entering the final contract year and might be available for a third-round pick in 2026 and a fifth in 2020-7. First, who exactly is Kwity Paye? Born in Guinea and arrived in the United States as a refugee, Paye represents a story beyond football. At Michigan, he became one of the program's most consistent pass rushers under Jim Harbaugh. Not the flashes or a highlight reel generator, but the one always there, producing, creating pressure. The Colts chose him in the first round for that very consistency, and 4 years later, he's proven that evaluation correct. He's recorded 26.5 sacks in 4 NFL seasons, including at least 8 sacks in his last consecutive 2 seasons. Here's what excites me about these numbers. They're not from 1 or 2 explosive seasons followed by dramatic drop-offs. Let's look at his year-by-year progression. 4 sacks as a rookie in 2021, 8.5 in 2022, 8.5 in 2023, and on track in 2024. What does that say to me? He understands how to improve, adapt to NFL offensive schemes, and maintain health season after season. At 26, Paye is still in his athletic prime. We're not talking about a declining veteran or a novice learning the NFL complexities. We're in that perfect window where experience meets maximum physical ability. Why would the Colts consider trading him? Here's where it gets interesting. Indianapolis picked J.T. Tuimoloau from Ohio State in the second round this year. Tuimoloau is an athletic marvel with tremendous upside, and if he flashes during his rookie season, the Colts might gamble on his potential while capitalizing on Paye's value before he hits free agency. It's simple math for Indianapolis. Paye probably $15 to $18 million annually in free agency, or get draft picks and bet on Tuimoloau's development. For a rebuilding team needing draft capital, the latter option makes sense. For us, Paye is exactly what our defense needs, a young pass rusher capable of playing 3 downs. Von Miller remains effective at 36, but let's be realistic. He's clearly in his career's final phase. Jacob Martin at 29 is younger, but has never been elite. Also on a 1-year contract. Both were smart acquisitions for this season. But what's next? Depend entirely on them. If one gets injured, or both decline due to age, where does that leave us? Paye will provide the stability and consistency needed not just this season, but for the next few years. Paye's numbers become even more impressive when analyzed in context. He's recorded 10-plus tackles for loss in 2 of his 4 seasons, proving to be more than just a situational pass rusher. He can disrupt the run game too, which is crucial in a division where we face running backs like Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, and Tony Pollard twice a year each. Moreover, Paye's demonstrated durability. He's played 60 out of 65 possible games in 4 seasons, including all 17 games in 2023. In a position where injuries are common, That availability is invaluable, and you know what we have that many teams don't. Salary cap flexibility to not only acquire him, but also sign an extension immediately. Peters has brilliantly managed our cap space, and we financially accommodate Paye long-term without compromising other team needs. The proposed cost for Paye, a third in 2026 and a fifth in 2027 for Paye and a seventh in 2026, is reasonable for a player of his caliber and age. A third-round pick for a proven 26-year-old pass rusher who's consistently produced in the NFL offers excellent value. I believe this move makes sense on multiple levels. Firstly, we're adding verified young talent to a critically needed position. Secondly, we're ensuring not to rely entirely on two one-year contract veterans whose futures are uncertain. Thirdly, we're investing in the future while competing aggressively in the present. Currently, Giovanni Jean-Baptiste is our only young edge rusher, picked in the 7th round last year. Though Jean-Baptiste has shown potential during training, he remains a developing project. Paye would immediately bring that depth and potentially become our central pass rush piece for years. Imagine a rotation with Miller providing experience and leadership, Paye as a consistent workhorse, and Jean-Baptiste developing behind them. Such a unit can pose serious challenges to any NFL offensive line. But here's where it gets really wild, and possibly the smartest move Peters can make in the coming weeks. While everyone discusses costly trades and expensive free agent signings, Adam Peters has a brilliant free opportunity, snatching a high-potential prospect from the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad. Antoine Powell-Rillen is just waiting, and we could simply take him out to understand why this would be so clever. We need to discuss who Powell-Rillen is and why his production story is absolutely wild. This guy started his college career at Florida, posting decent but not spectacular numbers. He then transferred to Virginia Tech for his final 2 seasons, and that's where he truly exploded. In 2022 with the Hokies, Powell-Rillen logged 11.5 sacks. In 2023, he improved those numbers with 14 sacks. Combining both seasons, 25.5 sacks in 24 games. That's over 1 sack per game consecutively over 2 seasons. To put it into perspective, that's more production than any FBS player during that period. But you know what's even more impressive? They weren't cleanup or situational sacks. Powell-Rillen was the guy offensive coordinators in the ACC had to scheme around, and opposing offensive lines had to double team constantly. Yet, he continued producing at an elite level. The advanced metrics also back his impact. During his Virginia Tech stint, Powell-Rillen recorded 67 total tackles, 32.5 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles over those 2 seasons. He wasn't just a one-dimensional pass rusher. He was disruptive against the run game, too. Physically, Powell-Rillen stands 6'3" and weighs 258 pounds. His 32.5-inch arms fall short of what scouts traditionally seek in NFL edge rushers, likely keeping him from the early draft rounds. On paper, these measurements don't automatically translate into an elite pro-level pass rusher. But here's what measurements can capture. Powell-Rillen possessed an incredibly sophisticated technical arsenal for a college player. He used his size intelligently, darting through gaps between larger, slower interior linemen on coordinated stunts with defensive tackles. Off the pure edge, he showcased an impressive variety of pass rush moves, including rip moves, swim moves, spin moves, and leverage and timing to create separation. His motor was noteworthy too. On film, you repeatedly see Powell-Rillen chasing plays all over the field, never giving up even when the quarterback escaped the initial pocket. That relentless mindset is precisely what NFL coaches love to see. Why didn't he make Philadelphia's 53-man roster? Here's the crucial context you need. The Eagles value offensive and defensive lines more than any other team in the league. It's part of their organizational DNA since the Andy Reid days, intensified under Howie Roseman as general manager. Even after losing established Talent like Josh Sweat, who signed with Arizona, and Milton Williams, who went to Green Bay. In free agency this year, Philadelphia kept stockpiling draft picks in line positions. They chose Moro Oyomo in the 4th round, Jalix Hunt in the 3rd round, and Powell Rillen in the 6th round, alongside several undrafted free agents. The result is Powell Rillen, buried in a depth chart loaded with young potential. The Eagles wish to keep him in their practice squad, slowly developing him, hoping in a year or two he becomes a contributor when some veterans leave or decline. This is precisely the situation Peters should exploit. Why let a divisional rival develop a player we could use now? The Eagles are playing the long game with Powell Rillen, but we have immediate pass rush needs he could address. The beauty of poaching practice squad players is that it's completely legal and costs nothing beyond a roster spot. No need to trade picks or negotiate complex contracts. Simply offer him a spot on your 53-man roster, and if he accepts, he's yours instantly. For Powell Rillen, the decision seems obvious. In Philadelphia, he potentially faces months or even years on the practice squad, waiting for his chance. In Washington, he'd instantly compete for real snaps in specific pass rush situations. Which option would you choose if you were a young player eager to prove yourself? Our current edge rusher depth chart thins out after Miller and Martin. James Piss has potential, but is still very raw. Kane Medrano, taken in the 6th round this year above Powell Rillen, made the roster but is mainly projected for special teams. There's real room for Powell Rillen to come and compete for a rotational role immediately. Picture the headlines if Powell Rillen comes to Washington and becomes a solid contributor. Ex-Eagles pick turns into weapon for Commanders, writes itself. Beyond media narratives, we're adding a tremendously promising player familiar with our division with extra motivation to show. Philadelphia made a mistake. The timing is also perfect. We have roster space with 3 quarterbacks, Daniels, Mariota, Howell, when typically only 2 are held during the regular season, and 7 linebackers when 6 is more standard. There's enough flexibility for this move without sacrificing depth in other critical positions. From a scouting perspective, Powell Rillen embodies the exact type of bet-smart organizations consistently make. High upside, low cost, personal motivation to succeed, and a skill set that translates well to our immediate needs. Could he replicate his college production against NFL linemen? That's the million-dollar question. But considering it costs nothing to find out, we absolutely should take this bet. And let's be honest about the divisional rival factor. Hurting the Eagles while helping ourselves is precisely the kind of move that makes a fan base fall in love with its front office. Peters has shown no fear in being aggressive in the market. Snagging Powell Rillen would be the perfect continuation of that mindset. Let's recap the fascinating picture. McCaffrey in real danger of losing relevance, Paye available at a reasonable price, potentially transforming our pass rush for years, and Powell Rillen waiting to be rescued from Philadelphia's limbo. Adam. Peters is playing 3-dimensional chess while other teams play checkers. He can strengthen the short-term roster with moves like Bourne, make smart medium-term investments with trades like Paye, and find hidden gems with moves like Powell Rillen. This is the difference between having a reactive general manager and one who thinks 3 moves ahead. The McCaffrey situation is particularly interesting as it represents a test case for the new organizational philosophy. Will they give him extra time to develop as a recent draft pick, or will they prioritize immediate win over long-term projects? The answer will tell us much about how Peters plans to handle similar future decisions. With Paye, we see classic value creation. The Colts have reasons to move on. We have needs he can fill, and the price makes sense for both organizations. It's exactly the kind of win-win trade that builds sustainable success, and Powell Rillen represents pure opportunity creation. Finding ways to add talent without sacrificing resources is advanced roster management, and if Peters pulls this off, it's another example of why this front office is operating on a different level. What do you think about McCaffrey's situation? Do you believe he deserves more chances to prove himself, or is Peters right in seeking proven veterans who can contribute immediately? Is trading picks for Paye worthwhile when we have other needs, or is this proactive move precisely what championship organizations make? And should we definitely steal Powell Rillen from the Eagles, or would it be better to maintain roster stability? If you think Peters should make all three moves to maximize his competitiveness window, leave me a like. If you believe McCaffrey deserves another full chance to show what he can do, share it in the comments. And if you want to be part of this Burgundy and Gold family analyzing every single organization's move with the detail it deserves, subscribe because tomorrow we'll have more explosive news on Peters. Moves before the season starts. You are the reason we do this. This community, this Commanders family, deserves the best analysis and the freshest news directly from the source. Don't miss what's coming, because I guarantee this season will be different. Peters is building something special, and we'll document every step of that process. And remember, hail to the Commanders.